Right, and we have our panelists already here to comment on these local stories that we've just played for you. We have with us Senator Boni Khalwale. Dr. Boni Khalwale is a senator from Kakamega. We have Herman Manyora, who is a resident analyst and also a lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Mithika Linturi, member of parliament from Igembe South. Also, we have member of parliament from Igembe, that is Jakoyo, Midiwo, who is also the deputy minority leader in the National Assembly, and Senator Kimani Wamatangi from Kiambu. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning to you.
Right, fantastic. Let's just begin with Laikipia and what is happening, the flare-ups in Laikipia, first of all, and people are saying this is mostly politically instigated. We begin with you, Boni Khalwale. Do you think it is politically instigated?
I have no reason to back that kind of belief, but it's a good guess that it looks political in view of the fact that that is just an attempt to do land grabbing by a different method. Land grabbing has been embraced by the political leadership of this country right from 1963 to date. The only caution I want to sound out is for the president to realize that if he does not fight for the sanctity of a title deed and therefore the right to property, we are now slowly degenerating into what was in Rhodesia, the current Zimbabwe. There would be no reason whatsoever why a villager would want to go and claim a parcel of land that it is currently being held by a white man. And because the people doing it tend to come from specifically two communities in this country, I want to warn them that they are not more Kenyans than the rest of the Kenyans who don't come from their tribes. The people in Kakamega, for example, have got serious desire to have more land, but they never trespass to public land. The other communities should do the same.
Thank you. All right.
First, we must condemn the acts of lawlessness in Laikipia. We must do that. We must send our condolences to the white man who was killed. But having said that, I must differ a bit with Senator Boni Khalwale and say it is places like Laikipia that make some Kenyans begin to ask, are we really independent? If you go to Laikipia, foreigners own hundreds of thousands of, I think, thousands, millions, if not millions of acres of land. I want to tell you here now, there are even people who own land in Laikipia who don't know where Kenya is on the map. They can't place their grandfather's land. Who gave them this land? We cannot allow Kenyans to suffer, their cows to die, their sheep and goat to die, when there are hundreds of thousands of acres of land with green pasture next to them. And these are the people who own this country. This is the ancestors' land. While we respect the right to property, we must first respect the rights of Kenyans to feel like they are Kenyans. This is their country. They will invite foresters. They will live with foreigners. They will even love them, work for them. But that doesn't mean thousands of livestock can die with green pastures around so that a few Mzungus can come and enjoy in the ranches watching animals. We can't allow that. Not in the 21st century anywhere in the world. Not in the year 2017. We cannot allow that as Kenyans. And let me tell Kenyans something. Much as we are told by the Western press that Mugabe is a pariah, is an outcast, he is loved by his people, very much so, because of this land issue. And now Jacob Zuma of South Africa is also saying there is no way. How are we independent if our people don't even have this land for which they fought? And it's also going to become very popular. I think foreigners will have land in this country, will give them even titles, but it cannot be to those ridiculous levels where they own hundreds of thousands and our people's animals are dying. We can't allow that.
But Jacob Zuma, does he have any moral right to actually even say that in the beginning? Because, of course, also of his involvement with the Gupta family. Right? With the Gupta family. And
but yes, anybody can change.
Right.
Human beings change.
Let's hear from Mithika Linturi.
Debarl, I'm not well versed of this matter, But from what I read on the paper, let me start by just saying that it's nobody has authority to take one's life. Life is the sanctity of life must be protected, and God is the one that gives lives and has authority to take it away. So, under whatever circumstance, nobody should attempt to do this, and the government enforcement, law enforcement officers should really take this matter so seriously to make sure that indeed those that did this in his act are brought to book.
Thank you. Jakoyo.
Debarl, I recently was involved in the renewal of the British Army training agreement to Kenya. And I held out for a while. I stopped the signing or the ratification of that treaty for a long time because I feel the people of Laikipia and many parts of Kenya have been shortchanged by foreigners, aided by the government and some corrupt individuals in this country. You cannot say that anybody in Laikipia is wrong to look for pasture. After all, they are pastoralists. It is only in Laikipia that you'll find somebody holding 50,000 acres of land and one lion and calling themselves conservationists. We must take this country to the drawing board. We must reorganize our country. And foreigners, if Trump is telling even green card holders to leave, what business do we have pampering foreigners? You cannot have, go to Nyeri. Why would you have a Majengo slum in Nyeri? And the land is less than 50 kilometers away. This land eventually must go back to the people. The level of insecurity, personal insecurity of the Kikuyu community, of the Maasai community, of the Samburus, is because, first of all, we were given a false start by the government of our first president, because we never addressed the issue of land. When the white man left, land was taken. If you were black, you must have been who is who. Then a few people remained here. Look at what has happened in Naivasha, that Chemoli land. Who owns it now? Investigate. Why is it that the people who stole land at independence are the same people still grabbing land? And some people who are here, and some of them are born here, they have refused, the white community in Laikipia have refused to live by the law of this land. So that when we come here and say the same law must protect them, something is amiss. They are not Kenyans. Even here, the current cowboys, they have refused to live by the law of this land. Let me finish by telling you. When Honorable Miraria was the Minister of Finance, we used to share a wall in our offices in Continental House. He once told me when he tried to send his KRA officers to Karen, these things in Karen, the business establishment, somebody walked into his office, a white man, and put a gun on his desk and told him, back off. Honorable Muraria is still alive. You can verify the story. Let me tell you, this is our country. If the Americans and the British are doing what they're doing and the world is against us, please let us reorganize our country so that our people are peaceful. But you cannot have a country where somebody, even the government of today, you go to Qatar and get some people and tell them, I'm giving you so many thousands of acres of land. And Kenyans don't even have a place to put a hat. Really. I mean, something must change. And I can tell you, it was the main reason why Mao was there. And it was the main reason why we have the Constitution of 2010. And read it. Read the chapter on land. And what Swazuri is doing, he must go. Unless he goes, we will get a false start about the land reforms forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear from Senator Kimani Wamatangi.
Yeah, thank you, Debarl. Let me start by saying that this is a very, it's a very intricate matter, especially when we get to discuss about land. Because first, as I offer my condolences to the family of the slain rancher, and definitely condemn to that extent that those invaders had the guts to kill him. Taking life, as my colleagues have said, is completely out of question. And we also can't go that way as a country. We can't allow our people to go and invade and kill and take forcibly. But then, why I said it's an intricate issue, Debarl, is this. If you look at the Daily Nation on page 11 today, there's a story there of one of the big landowners, a local, who attempted to shoot his own son, over land. You see there that story of Jackson Kibor?
Yes.
And that is how unbelievably crazy sometimes we make ourselves over land. I mean, you can imagine a father pulling the trigger to shoot his son over land. And that's why three things, Debarl, that I would want to say when it comes to the issue of land. One, I'm one of those people who firmly believe that in present-day Kenya, with the endowment that the good Lord has given us with the vast land that we have, that is our country, that nobody at this time should suffer the indignity of living in slums. We should not. Two, Debarl, this, whatever land reform we should and we would undertake has got to be a well thought out and thoughtful process. And, this country must rethink this question of land reform and how we will bestow dignity on our people. And especially in the urbanized areas, whereby you find that you have huge populations of people living inhumanly, and yet there is land available. But that does not mean, and that's why I said it's intricate, that does not mean that also getting people to invade land and acquisition and share it among themselves also solves the problem. Because you ask yourself, look at the redistribution of land through purchase that has happened, for example, in parts of Kajiado, in parts of Lower Kiambu, and ask yourself, has it finally addressed the issue? Because you see, once you let people also get in and just share out land, doesn't mean that they will bring value to the table. I mean, they will just simply go, get an acre, fence it off, and do their own thing. I believe that the model that we should adapt as a country is a model that ensures that even though for economic gain and for sustainability, we've got ranches, we've got big tracts of land that are being cultivated or kept, the benefits from those from those farms or ranches or land must be, we have to find a way of ensuring that those benefits are shared or they can be enjoyed by Kenyans even though they are not living on that land or they are not themselves tilling it, including the question that we addressed there the other day, that it is even a way of creating employment for our young people. Supposing we had a policy, and I've seen this in many countries, in the foreign countries. Look at what happens in countries like Finland, like Norway. You find that people are not just allowed to go and each own an acre and 5 acres and 10, 20 acres and what, but they have a policy and a plan whereby if it is land intended for cultivation as a plantation, it is done. But when it is done, one, there is government subsidy. Two, there is a cross benefit to the people, even though you are all not living on that particular land. And that's the way we need to look at it. Because, like in my own county of Kiambu, sometimes when I pass through some of the places like the slums of Githogoro, like in Kiandutu, in Zika, Gitambaya, in Ruiru, in Kwambera, in Limuru, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just want to put it because I want to put it just a moment. Given me.
Because I've differed with the rest of the panel, may I tell you that whereas what you are saying makes a lot of sense politically on land politics, it doesn't make any sense on the economics of land. If you Google today the population of the world, you'll find that the population of Kenya today is 47 million people, and it is growing very fast. So if our land tenure policy will be that for every Kenyan born, a half an acre, 2 acres, 5 acres must be reserved for him, we get it wrong. We have to change the land tenure policy so that we remove politics from land ownership and drive economics into it. What do I mean? I mean that time has now come when A, we must start teaching our people that the modern world moves in the direction of urbanization. And B, we teach our children that whereas your great-grandfather, his only asset, his only livelihood would be from the family land, you, Sonista Khalwale, my son, your livelihood will not be like Ihunyalo, it will be from the legal practice that you practice at the High Court, for which I have trained you and educated you.
Right.
Let's hear from for the sake of the viewers, let's not make this thing look theoretical.
It's real.
And about economics and about this and the other. This is reality. This is something that touches Kenyans. In a simple way, Wamatangi, for example, we are saying that we have hundreds of thousands of animals at risk of dying in that area. That's number one. And number two, that we have lots of idle land that was taken by people who really didn't pay for it. Let's go back to it. There is nothing bad with them owning about a bit of it. But people are wondering, how does the government come in such a force to enforce that ownership without caring about the suffering Kenyans, citizens? People are wondering, death is bad. No. Killing somebody is bad. But people are wondering, when the death of one white man makes the entire government machinery move to Laikipia, exactly. Kenyans are asking, what is all this? Everybody has come to there. Look at what has been taken there. It is bad to kill somebody. Those people who killed him must be found, prosecuted, and jailed or whatever happened to them. Right. But Kenyans can't help wondering. Why when it is a white man?
About to agree with Manyora.
Briefly, as we take a short break.
Everybody is calling me that name these days, by the way.
Just to punctuate a bit. but Debarl, just to agree with him, Director of Criminal Intelligence, Kaiseri, IG, everybody. But nobody is talking about the plight of the pastoralists, including Kaiseri, who is the number one pastoralist today. He's also a rancher, because I know him. But Debarl, what Boni has said is also true. If you look at the history of China, so that we can talk about the future, look at the history of China. China has gotten here from 1989, the Tiananmen Square incident. They sat down and thought and said, which way forward?
Exactly.
They decided to urbanize China. Yes. And I've been there, and they will tell you their story. Their story is a good story, which used to look like ours. Number one, if you go to my whole county, there's not a single cemetery. And everybody believes everybody must have a home. So in 50 years, there will be no more space to even subsistently farm. Mm-hmm. So we need a reform. What we are raising is that we have a government that should never have been the first one under the new constitution. And Boni is right. And let me tell you, if the big ranchers in Laikipia, paid taxes to the country of Kenya, then we would take that money. By now, we would have bought all the animals from the rancher, from the pastoralists, and even taken them to a safe haven and redistribute. That's what they do in Botswana. When it is hard, the government comes in.
Right.
And that is what one of the issues.
Take a short break.
Yeah. Really.
Just finish your point.
That is one of the reasons Botswana has become one of the world's largest meat producer.
Yes,
export. But it takes thinking of the government. We cannot have a government. We really cannot. Not in the 21st century. That does not care. That can care for one life and leave millions of animals and human beings. We will not agree.